Hello everyone, welcome to e-commerce. Today we're in London and I'm with Seb Bardin. Seb, spare some time to get together with us. Welcome to e-commerce, Seb.
Hey Mert, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you as well, because we got together in Shop Talk Europe Barcelona several weeks ago.
Yeah.
We missed each other at MedFest and finally we got together here in London downtown. Thank you very much for being us. For you guys, if you don't know Seb Bardin already, you should follow him on LinkedIn because he's one of the leading experts in our industry, especially specialized in digital commerce, digital marketing, and digital advertising and media. He has tons of experience to share with us because he worked in giants like Shell, Sony, Uniliver, and Coca Cola. And today, Seb will walk us through a lot of those hot topics we have. And let's hear from you now. What about your career journey look like in the last couple of decades?
So, as you said, I've been having this opportunity to work in some great organizations. So for me, it started with a passion for digital.
Right.
And I managed to get, people that believe in me, organizations that needed to transform to survive. And this is how, the journey started. So I've been in London for the last 19 years.
Wow, 2 decades, a long time.
2 decades, exactly. And then it's about bringing everything digital to marketing.
Right.
How can we create a great user experience? How can we grow the business? But also how can we grow the brand while achieving efficiency? Because, as you know, we have budget cuts. We have people cuts.
Always.
Everything is happening. So the business has to evolve and embrace more and more digital, e-commerce, technology, you name it. So this is how the journey started and is going on.
It's going on and it's fast evolving. Personally, I'm finding myself learning as we go through the journey with the experts like you, reading, studying, and sharing. Sometimes sharing bold ideas and insights, getting criticism, getting feedback just to validate each other. I like the journey, and I know you do too because you look great, you're in shape, and I know mentally you're also ahead from many of us. Can you share some of the examples in this fast evolving e-commerce transformation journey? You worked in different categories, different companies. In summary, of course, we can write books about those, but where do you see the most impact on traditional commerce with the ongoing digital transformation, digital acceleration of e-commerce? How did you catch those touch points in your journey in the last couple of decades?
I would say it's all about curiosity. Like when you do marketing, sometimes you're not exposed to all the different aspects of a business. And for me, it has always been, how can I drive the business objectives? Not
right.
How do I want to drive my click-through rate, my cost per click, etc. So it's really getting really close to the business outcome. And this is where I really drove my career, to work closely with the commercial team, with the marketing team, with the media team, and as part of the e-commerce team, really getting the opportunity to be much more commercial, get much more commercial skills. So understanding margin conversation, margin negotiation, all of these things. But it's really important because these are parts that a marketer won't necessarily see as part of their journey. And and one of the best examples for me was at Sony. I went to a joint business plan meeting with Amazon for Europe,
right.
Being with my sales team, understanding how we are negotiating, and then you have the the marketer in the room, also trying to understand, okay, what can we do? What are we going to invest? And this really helped me, upskilling myself, but also having a better understanding how the end-to-end process is going from pushing your product to the wider audience, down to pushing your product to shoppers, but also how can we increase the lifetime value of the consumers at the end of the day.
This is a really good insight about the intersection of different functionalities in the teams, in the organizations when you're dealing with one client like Amazon. Because to your point, you need commerce, you need media marketing, you need even supply chain to be in the room to perform at a successful JVP and then plan the year ahead. But then you worked in some organizations in certain categories where traditional trade dominates. Like, of course, electronics category is relatively more advanced in online commerce, but it's also heavily reliant on traditional trade as well. And it's grew in traditional trade, as well as food and beverage. How do you see the dynamics of changing nature of traditional trade with the impact of growing online share, growing online revenue because of the digital commerce? And how did you transfer some of the findings from a more advanced category like electronics to more competitive, more saturated category like food and beverage?
So I think there are two elements as part of it. I think the first of all is the growth of e-commerce. So in Western Europe, where it's pretty much advanced, we can see that the growth is going a little bit plateau at the moment compared to Latin America or Southern Europe. So exactly, skyrocketing. So I guess we and on the other side there's another trend, the post-COVID trend, where people want to see people.
Right.
High street commerce, exactly like us. High street retail is just booming. People are going back to shopping malls, to supermarkets to do their shopping. So what I think is really the integration between online and offline is going a little bit in a different way. It's not about e-commerce. For me is now a way to increase your customer lifetime value, your frequency, providing much more information to the shopper. And this is a little bit where I think e-commerce is playing an important role together with traditional retail, traditional trade. And then the second point is more of the digital experience in store. So again, we're talking about I'm always struggling to find this, to say this word, it's a phygital world, where you're leveraging the digital experience in a physical store, using the device that you always hold in your hand, your mobile phone. So again, we're talking about, I've been in a lot of situations where we're running out of stock, for instance, or we don't have a stock in the stores. So really using your mobile phone, really to leverage this. And this is also linked to how also you are managing your portfolio at the end of the day. So that's the most important. So again, if on Amazon people are buying big bulk of product, don't sell your £1 Coke, your £1 bleach on Amazon. So again, it's also about leveraging where do you want to win, with what type of product do you want to win.
Product assortment, yes, it's a big challenge for online commerce, but the previous point you made is really more intriguing for me too, because you mentioned how we can reach customers and consumers more frequently in more digital touch points, which brings me another growing trend of social selling. Because social has been out there for quite some time. Search, social are the top two leading digital mediums to reach the consumer and advertise brands. Now retail media is challenging linear TV for third spot. But how do you ensure all these social touch points you address, you fulfill to meet your consumer in the context they're in? How do you perform effective measurement? How do you bring it all home while you're bringing it back to commerce point of view? Because media spending is good, social interaction with the consumers is good, but at the end there's a commercial impact. How do you ensure this media investment is also bringing top line or incremental revenue to the business?
Measurement for me is
data.
Data measurement is the headache of our industry, I would say, because every channels will have their own key success indicator.
Right.
So you will talk. If you talk about someone working in social, we want to get view through rate. Want to get engagement. Someone that will be doing your paid search, click-through rate, or whatsoever. So I think the issue is more, there's so many metrics that we can measure, get an indication of performance, but it's not an indication, or it's not what is the truth of success. So it's always about, using different models, agile MMMs, econometric exercise, lost click attribution, whatever we want. But I think we have so many data points, so many tools that we can use, and then it's about forging our, what is successful for our business. Is it about increasing incrementality? Is it about increasing margin? For me, everything has to be linked to the business objectives, and then you can use those tools to pinpoint to success.
You can build a structure, and as long as the structure is strong and dependent on your existing business goals, hopefully the measurement will meet the requirements.
Exactly.
So these are all core fundamentals, which I love. Now I'm going to throw you a curveball with one of another upcoming trend. Yes, we all love to talk about generative AI, artificial intelligence. And I know you have a couple of good examples or case studies up in your sleeve, how Gen AI is impacting your digital marketing performance or digital marketing campaign planning even. Can you share a couple of examples or a couple of good universal case studies that how Gen AI is impacting the digital media performance of online commerce?
Well, the thing is, Gen AI is becoming a buzzword this year, I would say. But the thing is, we need to realize, to be conscious of a journey. about machine learning, where we came from. So, just a few years ago, I was doing dynamic creative optimization for my campaign. So it was still using machine learning to optimize against whatever KPI you have, ROAS or clicks or, detail page view, name it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always this approach, and also there was also more better dashboards, better optimization tools like PackView or Sky Kanshu. So now when you look on their website, they're all talking about they moved from machine learning to we are powered by AI. So which is really good to see because it's getting much more intelligent. But for me, so far the way I've been using AI is really to get time back and focus on what needs to be done. So let's say, when we were working on a campaigns recently, it's about from your using AI for idea generation, using AI for insights. And then from that, you really save a lot of time in terms of going back to going live and execute your campaign. And working with the likes of Amazon, DSP for instance, now you have Gen AI solutions that allows you to have nicer background, much more relevant background. So definitely, for me, the way I've been using it, it's really about saving time in terms of production. But where I want to go is really more using it as a predictive analytics tool to be much more efficient and, achieve better goals.
But this isn't it a difficult topic? Because I totally agree with your point of user interface, nice to have features, nice look and feel is great, of course. But aligning to the business growth objective and with measurable outcome is the tricky part. Then the question becomes, both to me and to you, but since you're the guest, I'm asking you. So the performance parameters or the existing technologies or whatever MarTech stack, ad stack we use is pretty much remain the same. KPIs are relevantly same. Even though Gen AI and other emerging technologies seems like they're changing the paradigm, but the parameters are the same. How are you aligning those technologies? Because implementing the technology is one challenge. Generating alignment and adoption of the technology is another challenge. And then finally, to your point, how are you going to measure it to your business strategy? Mm-hmm. How are you tying those trending, rapid moving technologies to your business growth strategy? How are you finding those niche areas that you can measure the business outcome, whether it's category growth, whether it's top line incremental revenue? Any examples in that front?
Well, at the end is back to, I was saying this last time, it is all about technology. Technology is your enabler at the end of the day.
Right.
So it has to power, to help you achieve your objectives at the end of the day. So that's a little bit of a danger. And so we're trying to put technology on the pedestal and say AI is going to solve everything. But and then this is where we started to lose some stakeholders again.
Right.
You will have your CFO that will be more interested in terms of what saving are we making, what additional business we are getting.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. So and then you will have different, legal, for instance, another important big concern around privacy, around copyright, and so on. So I think you have to navigate the full set of stakeholders or decision makers as well. So for me, again, is the way I always go back to innovation in general is to put it back to what are we trying to achieve versus our objectives. And then that avoid us going into this rabbit hole of going into, nice background, improved CTR, etc. So it's always making sure that we are back to what we are trying to achieve.
Yes, business objective, and hopefully making the business objective aligned and adopted universally in the organization, not pockets of innovation, not pockets of technology.
But sorry, probably what I can add also, I think, to your point in terms of giving a concrete example, every time the challenge for me, whether it was Shell, Sony, it's always going back to efficiency. Right. So, marketing budget is the one that it can usually be cut. A lot of pressure is going to the marketing departments because, of course, with the highest amount of money in media, that goes a little bit everywhere. So that's a little bit for me the way I've always tried to push technology in is it going to drive us savings? Is it going to drive us incrementality? And by doing those things, you can easily be the best friend of your CFO.
Exactly. Winning CFO and CMO are key for the digital commerce success because money doesn't grow on trees. And like Seb mentioned, marketing budget gets cut quite frequently. Yeah. Now, I want to drive the conversation a little bit towards the basics, fundamentals. Because yes, sexy technology, new trends are always exciting, but how about brand consistency? Because when you have a massive portfolio, like the previous company, Coca Cola, Unilever, or very robust, very educated category like electronics and Sony, you have to make sure your brand consistency is at utmost quality, both offline and online channels. And with all these technologies, it seems like it's easier to do, but it might get complicated to do as well. So saving hours, efficiency, of course, out of the box, good results. How do you make sure your brand consistency is achieved with all these flux of technologies coming in and out of your tech stack?
At Madfest, I was listening to a very good conversation by Tom Goodwill.
Yeah.
And he was mentioning this issue that the industry has at the moment, where we are always dividing things, online, offline,
right,
shopper, consumers, ATL, BTL, and this is I guess quite a big issue that we can see, and then it's also reflected within organization where we're working in silos. You will have a retail team doing something, the marketing doing something else, trade team doing something. So that's something again that I think is it's quite a big topic. Within marketing at the moment, the lack of consistency, and some organization where I was like Unilever, for instance, they're doing it really well. So the message that you can see at the top of a funnel is exactly the same message what you can see at the point of purchase. Right now they are having this campaign with Usain Bolt.
Right.
The messages goes across the line. Exactly. So this is really a very good example in terms of you're achieving and making sure that what we want to do in marketing, getting frequency of a message, repeat and repeat. It's across all the board. And then, of course, at the point of purchase, of course, you can see that they're leveraging X percentage of discounts off, better highlighting the benefits, for instance. So this consistency for me is key across all the channels. And at the end, it's all about the consumer or shopper, whatever you want to call him.
Right.
It's the same. It's a person that will be exposed and that needs to be reinforced in his brain that this is the right product for their issues, for throwing problems that they have, that can solve anything with a good price. So consistency, I would say, is the key factor for success.
I want to now segue into retail media, because we talked about how to reach consumer in a consistent manner and how the lines are getting blurred between offline and online. Now retail media is a natural player in this conversation, because what retail media does in the effort of reaching the consumer, it narrows down the upper funnel with targeting capabilities, and it widens up the lower funnel with broader conversion capability with high spend. I want you to share a couple of business objectives that you can lever or utilize retail media effectively to reach those business objectives. If you like to share 2-3 good business objectives for a fast-moving category like the ones you worked in, what would you like to share?
So I think when it comes to retail media, I guess it's important to understand where it's coming from, especially in terms of the money. So it was sitting traditionally with trade marketing.
Right.
And I remember when I was at Sony, a lot of things that we couldn't do on Amazon, for instance, because it was with trade marketing, you have to give a separate pot of money.
True.
And now when in my latest role, when I was working with Amazon, some of the stuff that you were buying with trade marketing, now you can buy it with brand marketing because they are putting it available in their inventory. So I guess that's a little bit the reality of a business, and for retailers, which is quite a high margin type of business for them. So I guess for me, when it comes to retail media, is really to understand and to connect the dots, especially when we are at the middle of the funnel, because yes, the consumer and the shopper are into that frame, into the right, the shopping mind frame of, okay, I'm going to buy something. But again, it's not just about, okay, because I'm searching chocolate, I will get Cadbury's, and then am I going to buy Cadbury's?
Who knows?
Who knows? So this is where I think it's an important element, where it's about reinforcing the brand, reinforcing the product, but also driving the conversion. And the way I will always look at it, it's about incrementality, because this person is going to buy it even without searching or even being exposed to a message, or this person has no idea of what they are going to buy, and then our message will be impacting the purchase. So that's why I think it's always important to go into this test mindset of exposed, non-exposed, to see the impact of retail media within the shopper journey.
To build upon that, I'm going to share some stats which I use in one of the videos I recorded this morning. Actually, this was last week, but I'm planning to post it today. I recorded a video in Gherkin in London downtown, which talks about the recent Criteo report, the retail media's impact of customer acquisition. And I'm going to ask your opinion to compare two categories. In that report, briefly, it says that new customer acquisition is higher in electronics compared to the grocery when you use retail media effectively, but repeat purchase is much higher in grocery, up to 6x, compared to electronics for retail media campaign effectiveness down to 2x. Meaning that if you use retail media for repeat purchase, electronics gives you 2x repeat purchase return, grocery gives you 6x repeat purchase return. So with this data in mind, and with your extensive experience in both companies, I'm going to use Unilever and Coke for food and beverage and Sony for electronics. Do you resonate with that? Did you see this in action, or how did you utilize retail media for customer acquisition and repeat purchase?
I think that's a thing to bear in mind is for consumer electronic, we were looking at a 2 years period before you renew your phone, for instance, at Sony.
True.
So it's about nurturing a shopper throughout 2 years to make sure that
longer cycle, bigger decision making
exactly.
process.
So within those 2 years, again, if you're looking at a phone, technology is evolving, better camera, better processor, etc. So again, it's really about reminding the user, that we are still there, that we are evolving, that we are progressing, and then therefore you want, of course, to get the conversion. And retail media played an important role because the category was so expensive. We're talking about £200, €200.
High ticket items.
Exactly,
yeah.
Minimum. And price is a really important key point. So, I remember at Sony, we had to be present for Prime Day. We had to be present
Always.
for Black Fridays and Cyber Mondays. So definitely those moments play an important role. And compare it to more fast consumer goods. Again, is here, you will be looking at, at Unilever, frequency of purchase for your soap around 6 and 7 times a year. So again, it's about, this is where you can go in terms and thinking more about subscribe solutions, subscribe and save on Amazon, for instance. So definitely looking at lowering the cost for repeat purchase.
This is really insightful to be understand the dynamics of two totally separate categories, because electronics is a longer decision making process, big ticket items. And the cycle is, as you pointed out, sometimes can go up to 2 years because nobody impulsively buy electronics, especially above a certain price point. But I think the important fact for me was retail media effective campaign can bring it customer new to the brand acquisition. More than half of the marketers using retail media for attracting new to the brand, new customers to the category and the brand. This is super powerful. Yeah. Now I want to bring it a little bit more to the human element. Now, because we talk about technology, we talk about business, we look at the 10,000 feet view. Let's bring it to the ground. You work with large teams. You manage some of those teams at some certain capacity. How do you keep teams motivated when there's a new technology, when there's a new capability in the room? Because sometimes it might be easy to embrace, sometimes it might be intimidating and might set people a couple of steps back. How am I going to adapt and use this new technology? Is it going to jeopardize my role? How did you keep your teams motivated in this fast pace of digital commerce technology progress?
I would say I was fortunate to have some amazing teams, throughout my career so far. So for me, it's all about the industry. So, we are working in, as you said, in this fast-paced industry. Everything is changing on a daily basis. So right. You need to be informed, to stay on your LinkedIn, to go to conferences. So that's a little bit the beauty of this industry. It's, how quick it's changing, all the new things that are coming to the markets. If you're looking at the map of technology in the marketing technology space, I think it's just growing bigger and bigger.
17,000 solutions this year. Yeah,
exactly. So, and this is, I think, when you're managing team, I think something that I've done really well is really to make sure that we have space to innovate, and it's making sure that I've got my test and learn budget. And as one of our friends that we have in common is calling it test and scale.
Right.
From Deb at Unilever. So definitely.
Hi to Deb from Unilever here, by the way.
Hi. So I think that's a little bit what I've been trying to do is really to allocate some space, making sure that we have resource allocated to do the fun things. And if it's working, fair enough. Let's try to scale it up. If it's not working, what do we learn from it? So again, I've managed to test a few technologies out there, around voice commerce, around CTV, for instance, shoppable videos. Yeah, some can work in some markets, of course. Some can work for our category. It was better at Sony versus more FMCG at Unilever. But again, is really embracing those change. And I would say in terms of time allocation, budget allocation, the best way to look at it is let's do 80% of what we do, what we know is going to work, and 20% is okay, let's try and see and then learn from it. So, but it's quite tough to have this conversation with your VPs, your CFO, because again, it's about taking a risk. It's not necessarily if this won't necessarily arrive at the right business outcome, but it's about how willing we are to take risk, calculated risk.
Sometimes you should be aware of taking those risks and not to be afraid of making mistakes, because agility and ability to try different things at a certain speed and being able to afford those losses or step backs is what makes you win. Because if you become too precautious, if you become too safe and not try anything, you will definitely be left in the dust. That's, I think, guaranteed.
That's right. And I think that's a little bit important is, I had the opportunity to do different companies culture, US, European, Dutch, British, etc. And I think this is sometimes why it's important when you're managing a team to have a sub-team culture. Because, if you work in a company, let's say, with a risk-adverse type of culture, the test and learn mentality is not necessarily the one that that is right. So again, this is how you need to make sure finding ways to embrace it within your team. While company-wise, it's not necessarily aligned. But
How do you see the upskilling efforts across global enterprises, not only for the companies you worked for, but also from your peers, from the other competitors or the other companies that you admire and follow? Simple version of the question. Do you see acceleration of upskilling in terms of digital technology, or it was fast enough 3-4 years ago and it's now slowing down a little bit, reaching to a plateau? Where do you see it's going?
The way I see it, it's more the fundamentals are still there. When we're talking about retail media, at the end of the day, if you want to look at it in a simplistic way from someone outside this industry, it's search advertising, programmatic advertising.
Right.
Same principle that we've seen since we started programmatic back in 2009, 2008. So things are coming with new names, but the fundamentals are the same. So the way we are buying, of course, we need to look at ways we are measuring things, but fundamentals are the same. And definitely, there's an element of upskilling that is important because the marketing industry, the barrier to entry to marketing industry is null. So anyone can do marketing.
Exactly.
We don't need to have an accreditation like being an accountant, for instance. So definitely it's important more than ever to keep learning, to bring people up to speed. And I think the danger that I've seen so far when it comes to upskilling program, we always forget one part of it, which is the technical side.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always talking, commercial, what does it mean for the consumer user experience? But, when you're talking about digital transformation, if it is led by a marketer without any technical knowledge, this is where,
this is where rubber hits the road.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it's important for me to understand that side. And I think that is a little bit, we are still relying a lot of, big consulting companies on that end to provide the answer. But for me, the way I've always been doing things is, of course, getting things externally, learnings externally, going to trainings, to conferences, but also open an account on GPT, for instance, and then do it yourself. Spend 1 hour a day trying to do some prompting, trying to go on even Amazon DSP, then just do it. It's learning is the best way to learn for me. It's by experience, and then get your hands dirty. 1 hour a day. It's 1 hour of Facebook or Instagram less a day.
What I hear from what you said and what I also observe and can attest to that, there is a convergence of IT and tech domain into the sales and marketing roles. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, more than ever. It's going to be worse.
I know, because I call this Bermuda Triangle in my previous posts and podcasts several times. I call it Bermuda Triangle because sales, digital marketing, and data, they're converging at a rapid pace. And I was fortunate enough in my previous roles, I had dedicated the time, invested some time and money to educate myself in that area. And now you also validating it that it's growing more and more important in the organizations to have a domain understanding of technology. And I also can add to that the data for your day-to-day commerce, sales, and marketing functions. Otherwise, digital commerce roles will be hard to tackle for many newcomers to the industry.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
I agree.
And I'm glad you're here with us today, Seb, bringing all this insight, experience, and some domain expertise. Unfortunately, we're coming towards the end of the conversation, but I want to thank you for finding time for us in the busy downtown of London and sitting down with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and all the best.
And we wish you luck. That was a wrap. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining eCommerce. And remember, until next time, stay ahead of the curve. Bye now.